What if zombies appeared in the modern world? The year is 2028. In the jungles of South America, a group of biologists records a disturbing phenomenon, the Cordyceps fungus. Known for parasitizing insects, begins infecting laboratory mice. At first, it seems like a scientific oddity for a narrow circle of specialists. Samples are sent to several countries, including the United States, where one batch ends up on a small farm experimenting with feed additives and veterinary drugs. In the farm's controlled boxes, the fungus is grown as a raw material for potential animal medicine. No one realizes that the mutation now allows it to survive in warm-blooded hosts. One of the workers, joking around, breaks off a tiny piece of mycelium and tastes it. Within hours, he experiences seizures, aggressive impulses, and loss of speech. That night, he attacks his colleagues. By morning, the entire farm has become carriers of the new parasite, living creatures controlled by the fungus, which spreads only through bites and deep scratches. From there, the infected break onto the roads and head for the nearest cities. The first videos of attacks appear in anonymous chats and quickly make their way into news feeds. Strangers with vacant stares lunging at people in supermarkets, parking lots, subways. Authorities try to suppress the panic, but in vain. The infection isn't airborne or waterborne, only transmitted through contact of blood or saliva with an open wound. Yet this is more than enough. One attack in a crowded train car can produce dozens of new hosts in minutes. Within a week, the US, Canada, and European countries close their borders. Checkpoints, curfews, grounded flights, but the infected break through barriers, and chaotic clashes at the borders only multiply the bites. The National Guard and police act together, but the enemy feels no pain, ignores warnings, and won't stop until physically neutralized. Months pass. Most megacities become dead zones. Where neon lights once lit the night, now there's only emptiness, the wind howling through broken glass, the smell of damp and rot. Malls stand silent. Streets look like battlefields, overturned buses, burnt-out cars, abandoned barricades. Mass power outages kill off transport and water supply. Communication works sporadically. Centralized governance collapses. Nations splinter into fortified local territories. In these islands of safety enclaves, power lies with either remnants of the regular army or tight-knit civilian communities. High walls of containers and concrete blocks, watchtowers, strict entry control. Any suspicion of a bite, and the person is sent to a quarantine block with an immediate verdict. Inside the enclaves, life slowly stabilizes. Residents return to farming. Greenhouses sprout on rooftops and courtyards with potatoes, tomatoes, legumes. Rain collection systems and plastic-covered garden tunnels appear. Every day, small groups venture beyond the perimeter for food, fuel, medicine, spare parts. It's always a razor's edge. The infected are fast, pack into swarms, respond to sound and movement. Daytime makes them easier to evade. At night, it's best to not risk it at all. Upon return, raiders undergo strict inspection. Light, water, disinfection, stitches for every scratch, temperature checks. The economy inside the fortresses is redefined. Old money is worthless. In use are solars, round metal tokens stamped with a sun symbol. They're minted from melted down parts and issued for work for the community. Guard shifts, wall repairs, crop cultivation, teaching children. Solars buy seeds, tools, medicine, rations, or place in a more secure building. Cities beyond the perimeters belong entirely to the infected. Nature reclaims the concrete quickly. Grass pierces asphalt. Foxes and raccoons settle in entryways. But along with greenery comes a new danger, roaming packs that wander aimlessly until they sense sound or scent. A year later, a new daily rhythm forms inside the fortresses. Mornings start not with smartphones, but with the dull strike of a bell in the square. Physical labor, guard duty, education. Children learn math and writing, as well as radio communication, first aid, and emergency protocols. Kitchens operate as communal dining halls. Everyone contributes a share of crops or scavenged goods, in return getting hot bean stew, flatbread, sometimes meat from hunting trips. New rituals emerge. Once a month is Night of Silence. After sunset, no one speaks, remembering the outbreak's first days when any sound could mean death. There's also Gate Day, a holiday marking the return of the year's largest caravan. Walls draped with banners, raiders get extra rations, and children are allowed to sound the all-clear siren. Clothing and daily life adapt. Jackets with stitched leather reinforcements, hoods of dense fabric, high boots with metal inserts. Workshops repair radios and teach teenagers how to work with tools. On the notice board, shoemaker needed. Trade 2 solars for children's gloves. Lost key to locker 14. Surviving scientists gather in several protected labs. They don't work on a magic vaccine, but on 3 practical fronts. Rapid tests for early stages, localized cauterization protocols, and personal protective gear to reduce bite chances. Studying Cordyceps requires fresh samples. Every such expedition flirts with suicide. 10 years later, the world looks different. The New York Stock Exchange is overgrown with vines, crows nesting in its columns. In Berlin's central square stands a lone tower with a searchlight, its beams sweeping facades, hunting for movement in dark arches. London's docks have become a survivor's market, swapping 30-year-old canned goods for generator belts, old cameras for buckets of diesel, books for seeds. Caravans travel between enclaves under the guard of heavily armored escorts. Despite everything, life goes on. Children laugh in protected playgrounds. Lovers leave each other small gifts of leather and metal. Elders teach the young not heroism, but caution. Humanity hasn't disappeared, but it's stopped being the planet's unquestioned master. The new world demands vigilance, endurance, and the ability to live with constant danger on the other side of the wall.